Hi, I'm Sam from Vitanium. Here at Vitanium, we work with MSPs to help design and deliver backup and disaster recovery solutions. Over time, one thing has become very clear. Backup and disaster recovery don't usually fail because of a lack of technology. They fail because the fundamentals of backup weren't followed. So in this video, I'm going to walk through the basic do's and don'ts of backup and disaster recovery explained in plain English. Let's start with the foundation, the 3-2-1-1-0 rule. If you remember one framework from this entire video, make it this one, because it covers the most common reasons backup fail. So let's talk about the 3-2-1-1-0. That's 3 copies of your data. That's the original, plus at least 2 backup copies. 2 different types of storage. For example, 1 copy on local disk for speed, and another in object storage or a different platform entirely. 1 copy off-site, because if everything's in the same location or the same environment, it shares the same risk. So that's 3-2-1, which is the basic. But due to increasing threats, an additional 1-0 has been introduced. Now the extra 1 means 1 immutable copy, a backup that can't be changed or deleted during a set period, even by an administrator. And the 0 means 0 errors. This isn't an assumed 0 errors. This is a 0 errors because it's verified. You've checked backups are completing and the data is actually recoverable. Once you've got the right number of copies, the next question is simple. Can you actually recover from them? So next is testing. This is where a lot of businesses get caught out. A backup job completing successfully only tells you that the data was copied somewhere. It doesn't guarantee recovery will be quick, clean, or complete. Testing is proving recovery works before you need it. At the basic level, that might be restoring a folder, a mailbox item. At a more mature level, it's full system restores, full recovery drills, or an automated verification. Testing gives you real answers to the questions that matter in an incident, like what can we restore and how long will it take? And in what order do we bring systems back? So run tests on a schedule, monthly or quarterly, depending on your client's needs. And don't wait for an emergency situation to discover you can't recover or the recovery is slow, unclear, or incomplete. Testing proves you can recover. Next, we need to define what good recovery actually means for the business. Let's talk about tolerance. So you'll hear the phrases RPO and RTO. RPO is recovery point objective. This means how much data can you afford to lose? If your recovery point objective is 4 hours, you can lose up to 4 hours of work. RTO is recovery time objective. This means how long you can afford to be offline. If your recovery time objective is 2 hours, you need systems back within roughly 2 hours. These are business decisions. They're not technical ones because they map directly to impact. Productivity, revenue, service delivery, and even reputation. Define your recovery point objectives and your recovery time objectives per system. Not everything is equally critical. Avoid using a one-size-fits-all approach and calling it a day. Once you know the targets for data loss and downtime, the next step is making sure the backup platform itself isn't the weak link. Backup systems are now a primary attack target. Attackers know that if they can delete or tamper with your backups, recovery becomes an extremely difficult task. So treat your backup infrastructure like critical infrastructure. These are the practical basics. Use multi-factor authentication on all accounts. Separate your backup credentials from your domain credentials. Limit those who can delete backups and apply safeguarding approvals where possible. Segment your backup servers and repositories away from general production access. So in summary, harden access and separate control. Don't treat backup like it's just another server on the network. A key part of protecting backups is ensuring they can't be altered, which brings us to immutability. Immutability is no longer a premium feature, it's a standard practice. Immutable backups can't be modified or deleted for a defined period. That protects recovery points even if admin credentials are compromised. This matters because modern incidents don't just hit your production, they often target backup repositories first. A simple way to explain the value is by asking the question, if someone gained access to your environment, could they delete your backups? If the answer is yes, then without immutable backups, you don't have dependable recovery. You have a risk. Ensure at least one immutable copy exists, and that covers you from a catastrophic failure. Now that we've covered protection, we need to make sure the solution stays reliable as the environment grows. Backup is not static. Data grows quietly, more users, more devices, more applications, more cloud services, and the retention requirements often expand over time as well. That can cause 3 common problems if it's not managed. Your storage can fill up, performance drops, and your costs can rise. Review your storage growth and retention regularly and plan capacity ahead of time. Don't let your backups run until they hit a wall. And remember, a backup can fail quietly. If no one is watching capacity and job health, you'll only find out there was a problem when it's too late. Next, let's clear up one of the most common misconceptions in the industry, and that's snapshots. Snapshots are useful. They're fast, they can be great for short-term rollback, but snapshots are not the same as backup, and relying on them as a backup can cause real issues. Snapshots often depend on the same environment as production. So that means same storage, same platform, sometimes even the same admin access. So if the platform fails or access is compromised, snapshots may be lost or tampered with as well. So if you're using snapshots, make sure they are used as part of a wider strategy and don't treat them as your only recovery plan. So we've covered copies, protection, and growth. Now let's talk about having a clear plan for how disaster recovery actually happens. Backup is the data, disaster recovery is the plan. A lot of businesses have backups, but no real disaster recovery process, meaning recovery becomes high pressure improvisation. A basic disaster recovery plan can help gain control of the process, and it's best created by answering these simple questions. What are the most critical systems? In what order do we recover them? Who does what? Where do we recover to? And how do we validate service are actually working again? This doesn't need to be a massive document. It can be a simple run book that gets reviewed and updated as and when changes are made. Documenting the steps and the responsibilities is the first step to having order within the chaos of a disaster. Don't rely on a memory or undocumented processes during the incident. And that leads us to the final basic, which is ownership, because none of this works if nobody is accountable for it. Backups don't manage themselves. Someone has to own the outcome. Ownership means monitoring for failures and alerts, investigating the issues quickly, performing restores when needed, running testing on a schedule, and reporting what is happening in a way that clients will understand. Assign clear responsibility and review backup and testing reports routinely, even if it is a short monthly check-in. Don't let backup become a background task that gets ignored or forgotten.